For the last 200,000 years, groups of men have banded together as a means of survival and for the purpose of moving civilization forward. Men built great cities, advanced modern technology, and created economic systems that still prevail today. Unfortunately, those advancements in economic stability have created widespread levels of comfort that even the most wealthy kings in history didn't enjoy. With no great purpose or mission, most men today have accepted this comfort and in turn have become soft, weak, feminized versions of their past ancestors. These men are content with spending their days at jobs they dislike, spending time with people they can hardly tolerate, and the most fulfilling thing in their lives is watching their favorite sports teams or getting lost in their favorite video game. The men of the Unplugged Brotherhood demand more from themselves and, more importantly, from each other. Through mentally and physically challenging in-person retreats and events, these men have discovered that growth only happens when you are willing to show up, force yourself out of your comfort zone, and above all, do the work. Don't waste another day squandering your potential to be the man you were meant to be. Reject comfort, let go of people that are holding you back, and seize the opportunity to join a true brotherhood that will challenge you to become the best version of yourself.
All right, guys, welcome to another Chopping It Up session, number 48. We're going to be covering some more on what's been going on in the past week with this politicalization of Charlie Kirk, the assassination, what's happening with everybody on either side, and what's up next. What's up, boys? How's everybody doing today?
What's going on?
Doing good.
Same old. Interesting week.
It's been a very tense, heavy week indeed. Yeah, we don't normally get into like a lot of politics on this show. We kind of focus more on the stuff that guys have a lot more control of because and rightfully so. Yeah, like solving like real problems. Like we don't have a lot of control over the political environment, what the president or the prime minister does, all that stuff. It's like a lot of this stuff is kind of out of our control. But this past week, first with this, Ukrainian Girl last week, we chatted about that a bit. And then Charlie Kirk a few days ago, assassinated in cold blood, and how the internet sort of reacted to that. Like, what have you guys seen on your ends? Like, how's it sort of affected you? I'm curious to hear from your guys' perspective.
I'll say from like ear on the ground here in a military base, no one's really talking about it. I haven't heard anyone talking about it. Most of the military guys, they're just worried about day-to-day stuff. Like their days like 12-hour days, and by the time they get home, they're just ready for the next day. And then on weekends, they're watching sports and then recovering. But on the political side, like TikTok and X and all that, you've seen all kinds of craziness come out in the woodwork, which is good because then they tell you who they are, so then you know who they are, so you can be like, okay, you stay over there. Yeah, but yeah, that's all I'm seeing pretty much.
What about you, Nick?
Yeah, of course, in my circles, we're a little bit prone to conspiracies, so it's kind of hard to me, there's just a lot of muddying the waters. A lot of people saying it's, it's the Arabs, it's the Jews, and gosh, it's hard to know what's real on that side of things. And in my opinion, it's just become more of a distraction than anything else from just working, doing my work mostly.
What about you, TC?
I've seen, I've got a lot of, I guess what you would call like super far right minded people in my circle, like in real life. And they're all pretty quiet typically, right? Like their thought basically is that my view is extreme. So let me kind of toe the line and say like nothing really crazy, right? And after, Charlie Kirk got assassinated essentially live for the world to see, they kind of threw that out the window. Where it's these guys that kind of kept their extreme opinions to themselves were like, if they killed our best messenger, I'm just going to send it now. Fuck it. So that's what I've seen is guys like really ripping the Band-Aid off on stuff that they've been not expressing for a long time to try to be politically correct or, below the radar.
Yeah, Moff, you did a show last week that was real good. I co-signed like everything you said in there. Do you want to just sort of like recap like where your head's been at?
Yeah, it's been wild, man. I mean, I'm one of the guys that TC's talking about for sure. Like, I'm full mask off at this point, like, which might be weird for people to hear, because I do tend to be pretty intense and I do tend to be pretty open and honest about the stuff that I talk about. And I have been on this channel for probably the better part of almost 2 years now. But there's things that I'm just tired of ignoring that they exist. I'm tired of not being fully 100% out there with the way I think about things. And yeah, for me, it's been a mix of like almost red pill, black pill stuff for me. I always knew that there was people out there like these crazies that when they would throw out insults or they would call you incel or racist or misogynist or sexist or xenophobe, like whatever, like all the hits, right? Whatever the current menu of insults that these people like to use. To me, that was just like, they don't really mean that. It's just they're trying to throw the most vitriolic and venomous insult that they can get at you to try to get you to be quiet and to silence you. Because up until very, very recently, being accused or even being thought of as a racist or a misogynist or whatever, xenophobe, like you don't even know what that word even fucking means. But those had real world applications and people that were raised to, I'm a kid I was raised in the 90s and early 2000s, like never be racist, like everybody's the same, look the way you look or the way you act or your upbringing, everybody's got has no bearing on who you are as a person, and everybody should get a fair shake and respect. And being labeled one of these terms was like the worst thing that could happen. And now you're realizing that it's just a mechanism to try to get you to shut up. It's terrorism, essentially. It's trying to play on fear of, and in this case, social ostracization. But now we've seen legitimate fear for your life, because they have said that if you say things that we don't like, we will kill you. And they have. And so where we're left now is, and as diabolic and as tragic and as insanely sad that Charlie's murder was, being killed in front of his wife and kids and in front of hundreds of thousands of people in the world over, I wouldn't say it's worse. I can't say anything's worse than that, but I can definitely say what's shocked me even more has been the response from the left, the TikToks and the dancing and the singing and the celebratory nature of this man's murder and assassination, to a point where I thought up until very recently that we lived in a country and we lived in a world where most people were not these insane radical leftists who would cheer for someone else that they didn't like to die. But I'm realizing that there are so many more people out there than we all thought that are gleefully cheering this man's death. And they're in your public school system. They're teaching your kids. They're handling your food. They're administering your medicine. They're writing the laws by which you must govern yourself. And they walk among us every single day. And I think that's been the real wake-up call for me, is that I always considered myself really being willing and open to debate with people. I've had people on the channel debate. I've done the ladies' night thing. I've had people that want to debate me on red pill shit, whatever you want to call it. And as long as somebody came to me, regardless of what they looked like, I don't care if they had pink hair and a nose ring and tattoos and they were fucking 400 pounds. If they came to me and they earnestly and honestly wanted to have a conversation, I was for it all day. Somebody that says, hey man, let's talk about our ideas. Let's discuss these things like men, or I mean, I had conversations with women. And every single time that I'm having a debate with these kinds of people, they always take their mask off first. Like the name calling and the anger always comes first. And there was this guy, Charlie Kirk, who believed in the same things and actively told people at some of his events, she's like, well, why do you do this? He goes, because when we stop talking to one another, when we stop having conversations, when we stop being able to disagree with a level of shaking hands and respect, and we stop being able to say the other person is a human and we just disagree, then you see them as subhuman. And that's when violence starts. And tragically, Charlie died for that cause. He died trying to prove what he ultimately proved, the opposite, is that there is no corner with these people, that you should absolutely judge these people harshly by the way that they carry themselves and the things that they believe in and the ideas that they hold true and the values that they hold dear to their hearts. And that Charlie didn't hold any crazy right-wing out to lunch views. He's not Nick Fuentes. He's not one of these insane right-wingers. He's certainly not even as, shout out to, he's not even as far right and inflammatory as a guy like Myron. He's very, very mildly conservative, and he's very rational. And I would say the word that I'm looking for is escaping me right now, but mildly conservative. And they killed him for it, and it's the dancing and the celebrating on the grave. It's the blatant lying about facts that we've uncovered about the shooter and his motivation. It's the blatant twisting and the manipulation of quotes that Charlie has said. It's the name calling, and it's the labeling without any sort of factual evidence to back it up. It's all of these things rolled into one. And it's just been a real dark cloud over my head for the last couple of days, man. Like, I've been mentally pretty fucked up about this stuff. And it's a dark, dark stain in the tapestry that is this country, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't know. Let me start by sharing this over here. So I put this up on my Instagram today, and I just posted a picture of the kid with his father. This is the kid who confessed to his father that he committed the assassination. He hasn't cooperated with the authorities yet, from what I understand. His girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever she happens to be right now, apparently is. This meme was obviously shared. They're all Nazis, they're all Nazis, they're all Nazis. And of course you have, the red eye world, they're all Nazis. And tribute to Charlie Kirk. And I said over here, if evil can get to this man's son over here, they can get to yours. The week's been heavy for a lot of people. Make sure you always have a better relationship with your children than they have with the mainstream media, screens, college professors, or any counter narrative to your core family values. This is key. Guys are always like, I have a daughter, I got a son, how do I make sure, blah, blah, blah. And I keep going back to this, especially since this happened. And it's like, if your kids, and even adult kids, if they're in their 20s, have a better relationship with screens, Discord servers, video game crew of whatever than they have with you, you potentially have problems. You have this is the Achilles heel, for your family name. Okay. It's all a tragedy. And then if you look at the comments here, and I didn't look at them after this morning, I just looked at a few of them, and there are people already, dropping
disgusting.
their, vitriol and their venom. Shout out to Dr. Anthony J. He'll be at the forum next month. Gia McCool, friend of the channel, of course, she's been on Ladies Night. Well said. You're so close. And then, you start getting into the guys that are doing the best take I've seen so far, even death penalty for kids is a tragedy. Thanks for sharing, Rich. Failure as a father, the one thing he did right was turn his son in. I mean, that's got to be tough to do, to turn in your own. Like, he's the oldest of three. Just for reference, my son's only 10, doesn't have a smartphone in his school. Well said. Then as you kind of expand on this is where you get into some of the other weird stuff. Well said. No way did this kid do it. He is a swing set to take the fall. Dig deeper. All right, let's see what the other guys are saying over here. There's more to the story. Too much. It doesn't make sense. If Zuckerberg won't let his kids on social media, don't let yours. How do we know he isn't the fall guy? Can't trust everything the mainstream media tells us. I fully agree. I mean, I'm not disagreeing with that. 12 years of indoctrination and then off to universities for radicalization. It happens. I mean, we've seen a lot of school professors and teachers dancing on the grave of Charlie Kirk this past week on social media, and a lot of them have lost their jobs for it. Hell of a shot, this guy says. Let me just pull this out for a sec before I continue. Speaking of the shot, Alan, What
Yeah.
do you think of that shot? Was that a like
not hard.
most snipers are trained for center mass, not for neck, obviously.
Yeah.
What do you
So
think that
like,
was?
so it was him not calculating. He maybe didn't even zero his scope in perfectly. So him not calculating. But even at 200 yards, I did the map calculation. It's just under 200 yards with a 30-06 round. So a 30 caliber round at that range. I don't. He pulled the trigger too hard when he squeezed the trigger because it was off, and then his breathing was off. So like at that range, it's too easy to hit.
There's not much
Even
bullet
if
drop with a 30-06 at 200 yards.
But yeah, it's not.
Everybody's
It
average.
really, yeah, it really isn't. And
Well,
and the wind doesn't take effect at that range either. So it's just like in the army, we're trained to shoot from everything from 20, like basically 25 meters up to 300 meters, and with
Mhm.
iron sights. So, and we're hitting center mass iron sights. Oh, well, some of us. Let me rephrase that. Hitting center mass iron sights.
Right.
So if you got a scope with a 30-06 bolt action rifle, you should be nailing that at 200 yards like it ain't nothing. So he wasn't trained.
Yeah,
What do you
and
think?
what do you think of the like adrenaline component for somebody who's never shot a human being? Do you think that could make a
Oh, yeah.
difference?
Probably
Heartbeats.
left-handed.
Yeah.
Yep, heart beating like crazy, so that affect breathing, and then not used to the trigger pull on the rifle, so maybe he over squeezed
Because it wasn't his,
overcorrected.
right? Like he didn't own the rifle. Apparently, he was
Yeah,
supplied
it's an
with
old
it, which is what the
Mauser. It's
story
called a
is telling.
motorized rifle, basically.
Yeah, which makes sense why the zero might be off for him, or he's not used to it and all that good stuff. So, and he was probably aiming for a headshot, is what
That's
I'm
what I was
thinking.
thinking. He was looking for the optics of a right, and it
Yep.
he just screwed
And
it up.
because that you don't know if he's wearing like soft armor or anything like that. So, because
Some
if he
people
had,
said that he was wearing a vest. Like if you look at the stills, it looks like he's wearing a vest, but that wasn't a heavy enough vest to stop a rifle round, even if he was.
it would have actually probably saved his life. So
Oh,
it
you
might
think
have
so?
gone in a little bit, but depending on how the soft armor is, how it's rated.
Okay.
But at 200 yards, maybe it done enough to stop from actually penetrating him. I couldn't honestly tell you too
So if
much,
he was
but
a more accurate shot and he was wearing a vest, we don't know if he was wearing a vest. They didn't say.
yeah, I didn't. It didn't look like it. I was looking at his shirt, and I was like, even like small soft armor slit, you would notice it. It would
Yeah.
his shirt in the wind. It was too
You see the outline. Yeah.
not indented. Yeah. So, and another thing is like when I seen that shot and I was looking at the film and stuff like that, the first thing I was looking where the neck placement was.
Mhm.
And then I kind of triangulated the spot for where it would have been the best shot to come out. And I pulled up the maps and everything. And it's basically in that fan cone that I posted in the general's chat. It was basically in that width at that range is
Got it.
what I figured. Yeah, I was like, if he was trained, he'd have been in the shadows. You would not have seen his barrel. He would not have been sitting on top of a roof because it'd been completely obvious.
Yeah.
He would have got caught. So that's why I'm like, it's an amateur shot, and he got caught, and he
Got
didn't
it.
have an escape route. Yeah.
All right. So this dude over here is Rich. No, this is the fall guy. The shooter came from the other side, about 10 yards from his bodyguards, who were an integral part of the shooting, right? And you start to open this up, and it's like, you get into your your tinfoil hat sort of stuff, and some people agree, some people disagree. You of course get guys like this, rest in piss. Can I block this guy or ban him? I'll ban him later. You get these dickheads out here like this. Charlie advocated for evil to get to the father of many sons and daughters in Gaza. I'm not sure what that means. Is this something to do with the whole thing with Israel and Mossad?
Yeah, he was kind of pro-Israel.
Yeah.
And
Up
he
until
wasn't
very
like-
recently.
Yeah, but he wasn't like overly pro-Israel, right? He was
Yeah.
kind of like, yeah, they're starting to overstep their bounds and stuff like that, and stuff like that. But it's so
But-
everybody's like, maybe the Mossad had him killed, and I'm like, yeah, probably not likely, because then that would really turn everyone off from the Jewish crowd.
Yeah,
Right.
everything I'm seeing is that he remained pro-Israel. He might have been kind of anti-Netanyahu, but I think he remained pro-Israel for the most part. That's at least what I'm seeing.
Yeah, far less inflammatory than other people in the space, right?
Yeah, like a guy
far
like
less.
Myron Gaines or Nick
Myron,
Fuentes or
Nick,
Dan
all these
Bilzerian or
guys,
Jake
right?
Shields.
Like,
They're all
Jake
heavily
Shields,
against that, right?
totally.
And
Yep.
then of course you get the guys that go unfollowed. They
See
take the
that.
time to say, I'm unfollowing you. Okay, bye, pansy.
See a jerk off.
This is an inappropriate post. I don't even need to try to break it down for you. It's self-evident. If men can become good despite a wicked father, men can become evil despite a godly father. This post is absent of wisdom. Of course, somebody with like no following, of course, in a private account and a fake avatar thinks they know what they're talking about. All I was basically saying is protect your kids, guys. Like, make sure that you have a better relationship with your kids than screens do. They want us all dead. They're saying it straight to our faces. There's no more discussion with them. Still waiting
But this
for
is
that.
the point. That's
Sorry?
the point, Rich. Like, that's the point. Like, this is why parents are afraid to govern and to protect their children, because they're afraid. Especially when women are putting in charge of the show, like especially when women are the ones that are running the household. If you go through some of the Facebook posts, like, I mean, man, like, guy was a Trumper, he was a veteran, but all signs point that this guy was a heavily coddled mama's boy. And when women are running the show and they're running the household, they care more about social status points among other women and other families and keeping up with the Joneses of Letitia of suburbia or whatever it is, to properly do what needs to be done to protect their children from outside world and outside harm.
Yeah, we saw lots of
that's what
videos
it
of her
is.
coddling the boy, smothering him, applauding him for getting some whatever. There's a video of it. This guy over here, Holland Grace, is still waiting for that. He's actually a leftist evidence to drop. I don't know why people can't
I don't
use
know what else you
Google
need.
or like Grok AI search. It's very simple, right? The guy was in a long-term relationship with a male to female trans, was
A furry.
engraved on the bullet casings, catch this fascist, and was involved in like Discord discussion groups that tied into Antifa. So I'm not exactly sure how that was missed by the common man, but there you go. Is this really a shooter? The right's falling for mainstream narratives, just like the left. Oh my God, y'all the same ones that would take the vaccine because the Govern team. What the hell is this guy talking about? Yeah. See, this is why I usually leave my comment section on for followers only, but I've opened it up to others recently in the last month, and it seems to be a bad choice now that I'm reading a lot of this nonsense. But then you get a lot of positive stuff. It's fake, and then they say the Mossad, F Kirk, rest in piss. That's just what you get with these types of situations. Very, it's not clear that the people that follow my stuff, and I'm assuming a lot of people that commented on this don't follow my stuff, and they just maybe saw it on their home feed or something like that, and they wanted to come in and shit on the man's grave. But politics are that way. We live in an empire of nothing, and Charlie Kirk tried to communicate with the empire of nothing and talk to it and reason with it. And I mean, he's a nice guy. Like, he's way nicer than I am. Like, if I started doing university campus tours, with a microphone, like I'm worried about Myron Gaines, because the way that he handles a lot of these people. Ben Shapiro canceled his, face-to-face tours. It's just wild that you can't have a conversation without ruffling feather, and a nice man having a decent and a reasonable conversation, in my estimation. And so many people hate this guy, and I don't think they know why they hate this guy. Like, if you watch any of his clips, and I don't watch a lot of them, for me, Charlie Kirk, Jordan Peterson, Ben Shapiro, Candace Owens, they're all kind of like the TradCon conservative, Steven Crowder, like all of these guys, right? Like, they're all the TradCon conservative, cut from the same sort of cloth, say pretty much the same thing. Man up and just get married, march in the slaughterhouse, don't worry about divorce, just vet her better, bro. They don't really offer a lot of useful solutions, in my opinion, for guys that are contemplating heavy life choices, like who they're going to invite into life, if they're going to have kids, how they're going to structure it. Are they going to get married? Are they going to live in a different sort of way that might look like marriage but isn't? Right? Their entire messaging to guys, which bothered me, was always just march in the slaughterhouse and get married. So I never really followed a lot of them, right? Like, followed their gospel. And I'm not a religious man, I've mentioned that before, but probably about 70 to 80% of the stuff that I saw him talk about, I'm like, right on, like, co-sign it, tick box. All right. And he's really nice in his delivery. So it's just so bizarre to me that, we've now arrived at this place where, well, here, let's play this little intro over here that we were talking about before from Sam Hyde. He says, this is you. It's a 58-minute clip here. And share screen. We really only need to get in the first couple minutes, but I want to kind of like share this with you guys so that you can get some idea about what I'm looking at anyway.
This is you. This is your sister, your wife, your daughter. But this right here is you. This is your sister, your wife, your daughter. This is you. This is your sister, your wife, your daughter. But this is you. And this is their reaction when you are killed. This is the joy they feel when your sister is raped, when your children are castrated, brainwashed to hate you. This is their ecstasy when the floor of the subway car is awash in your blood. This is you. Make no mistake, that is a symbol, that is you. But this won't last long. They can't help themselves because they're so ugly and so low that the only joy they can experience, the only good that they can envision is to take something beautiful or innocent down to their level. And when they can't do it, the next best thing is blood. This is Charlie's family, and these are his children who will never be able to hug their dad and grow up with a murdered father. And these are the people who smugly revel in this, and they won't stop with just Charlie. The boats are burned. There's nobody coming to help. The barbarians are at the gate. This is the fall of ancient Rome that we are living through currently. And what happens in the next 2 weeks is going to determine the future of mankind. That's not hyperbole. That's just how it is. A few notes before we start. I've seen some Twitter posts from people lamenting, apologizing, because their last interactions with Charlie were...
So we can sort of cut it off there because it's like the first 2 minutes. It's like the heavy bit. If you guys want to go watch it, you can go find it on Sam Hyde's channel. It's also on his Twitter feed.
It's very good.
It's like 58 minutes long. It's worth checking out if you want to sort of dig a little deeper down the rabbit hole. But the first couple of minutes hits real hard, right? It's like, that shit's heavy, man. Like that is, and he's talking about like we'll see what's going to happen with this over the next couple of weeks. And we saw JD Vance today. I don't know if you guys saw the announcement where he kind of gave that like speech. I don't know how long it was, like 5-10 minutes
awesome.
long. He's like, we're going to do something about this, right? Like, we're going to, like, you can't reason with these people. He was talking about when he went to Disneyland, he had an event in California or something like that. So he tied in a Disneyland trip, and he was heckled by, the people at the resort. They were picking on his kids. They were insulting him in front of his kids. They were calling him like everything his son. And he's absolutely right. Like, you can't reason with people like that. I don't think, Charlie Kirk proved it anyway. He tried his hardest, and look where it got him. Right.
Yeah, it's hilarious that people are still acting as if we can have any more reasonable or rational discussion with these people. All of this bullshit about we need to come together, we need to have open debate and dialogue. It's like, we fucking tried that, dude. We tried that. This guy,
Charlie Kirk, was that. That's who he was.
He was that. It's exactly what he did. He went to the epicenter of liberal brainwashing, college universities, and realized there was an entire generation of young men who were marginalized and they were afraid of speaking out because they were afraid of social ostracization or expulsion, and they had nowhere to turn. And he said, no, like, we have a home for you. We have a place where you can speak your mind. We have a place where you're not going to be looked down for your ideas. We have a place where you can come and share the things that are bothering you without having to be shouted to shut up because you're a straight white man and you're inherently evil. And they took that away from us.
What was that kid's name that was on trial? Was it Kyle Rittenhouse or something like that? That was during the BLM riots, right?
Yeah, the Kenosha kid.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man. Like, you know, you get a guy like George Floyd who died under the knee of a police officer. Everybody blamed, the police. They put Derek Chauvin in jail over it.
Free him, by the way. Chauvin should get a full presidential pardon, be out walking the streets. I don't care what anybody says.
I mean, they fucking analyzed Floyd's blood and he had everything in him. He had everything, like
lethal dose of fentanyl.
Drugs in him.
Notably fentanyl, because fentanyl suppresses the respiratory system.
Yeah, their martyr is a guy that held a gun to a woman's stomach, a pregnant woman's stomach, to rob her. That's their martyr. Yeah,
and
funny how that works out.
And they had a complete and absolute meltdown. Everybody did. In the States, like cities were burning. Riots. There was a black police officer that was shot in the back of the head during one of the riots. I can't remember which city it was in, but that hit me hard in the face. That was like a frying pan to the forehead moment. And then you get the Kyle Rittenhouse stuff and the trial and like everything that sort of like came with that. And the people,
even the narrative around Kyle Rittenhouse is still wrong. Even after all the evidence in the court case and the trial and everything that was presented, there is still this air of this guy went hunting, looking for people. He brought his gun and went to go hunt liberals. That is still a widely accepted belief. And it's like, what are the odds that a guy goes to a left-leaning process or a demonstration or a riot, whatever you want to call it, shoots 3 people and 2 of them happen to be convicted pedophile sex offenders? What are the fucking odds?
Yeah. And there's so much going on here, man. Like there's so much bizarro land happening. I've never seen anything like this in Canada, by the way. If you guys are newer to our stuff, by the way, hi, I'm the only Canadian on the panel. I live in the Toronto area, but we don't typically have these kinds of issues with left versus right. It's gotten to the point where it's gotten absurd. Last week we had that guy, John Carlo, or Dean Carlo, whatever the hell his name was, the guy that murdered the Ukrainian girl, and they got him on audio camera saying, I got the white girl, and they made it sound like it had nothing to do with racism when it clearly was. Then you have these.
Oh, he's out of jail.
Well, they're doing a mental assessment to see if he's capable of standing trial, and it's like they have the video of him murdering the girl. Just execute him. Like it's cut and dry. There's really nothing to try. Don't waste any resources. And they should, by the way, the magistrate that let this guy outlast, or the other 14 times, whoever the hell they are, there's got to be consequences for people like that. The thing that blew me away is that you don't even need to practice law to be a judge in North Carolina, right? I don't know if you guys know this, but you don't have to be a lawyer that's either convicted or defended criminals before you get promoted to become a judge. You can just become a judge without actually passing the bar or being a lawyer, which is fucking wild to me.
Yeah, I think specifically it's a magistrate judge for that.
Yeah.
So it's a specific.
It's wild.
Did not pass the bar.
It's wild, but I mean, like this piece of shit was let out 14 fucking times, and he may not even face the death penalty. They might stick him in a fucking loony bin or something like that instead. And it's like,
I got a couple years, and they'll call him rehabilitated, and they'll be back out on the street in a few years.
I got to add to that. So this magistrate judge, she also happens to be the managing director at the mental institution where this guy keeps getting sent. And I believe she has an ownership stake. So shocking. I mean, if that wasn't a conflict of interest, I don't know what is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, they'll go and appoint a black magistrate judge like they did for the situation, because if it was a white dude, then he'd be called racist, right? So they have to put this chick in place to do this all in the guise of it, like, we got to try to make this seem a little less harsh or whatever. You know, and then you look at a lot of these conservatives, which, you know, purportedly band together and like speak out against stuff like this. We saw the Hodge twins, a couple of black dudes, you know, they spoke out against what happened to the Ukrainian girl. You see Myron Gaines, he speaks out about it, condemns it. Strangely, though, Candace Owens, 7 million followers on X, said nothing. Fucking crickets. Said nothing about this guy that murdered the Ukrainian girl. There's a lot of inconsistencies, you know, happening in that space. And it's like, they have a fucking meltdown over George Floyd, and look what they did to America. Look at the fucking poison and the vitriol that came out of all of that. Black Lives Matter, the fucking embezzlement of funds. I think that she pled guilty to something like 26 charges. Was it? Did you guys see that?
What, the
I can't remember
BLM
how many
director?
charges.
Yeah.
I can't remember how many it was. It was ridiculous, though.
26 charges. She
insane.
pled guilty to it for embezzlement of funds and money. I can't remember what all the charges were, but ridiculous shit. This is one of the leaders of Black Lives Matter. And then you see another video of like one of these BLM leadership ladies after that Ukrainian girl was slaughtered. She's like, yeah, well, you know, sometimes violence is the answer and you got to do stuff like this because of reparations. Are you fucking kidding me? Like, this is like, do you think about what you say before you open your mouth and words tumble out? And
No, because they've never had accountability in their life. You can tell by when they just say words, they've never been punched in the face. Like, they've never been punched in the face. Like, it's crazy. It's like when you don't hold people accountable, this is what happens, right? Legally, morally, ethically, and physically. If you don't hold them accountable, this is exactly what happens. They're just gonna be outrageous. Just gonna say whatever they want, do whatever they want until they get held accountable.
They have
We've been
impunity.
trying for decades, for hundreds of years, to try to live in peace with multiple political opinions, and I think that the chasm has divided more so over the last 20 years than it has ever been before, right? Like, I think it started with Rodney King. Like, I'm the older guy in the group here. I don't know if you guys remember Rodney King, but
Yep.
you know, it happened in California, I think in the 80s or 90s, was it?
It was 92. I lived
92.
out there. I actually had to deal with it.
Yeah. And it's
LA riots.
Yeah, the LA riots. And it's like, prior to that, there was no real significant issues like we've ever seen like this today. And it's from the Rodney King situation, just got worse and worse and worse, right? I don't think that there is an answer to try to negotiate with the other side on this. This seems like one of the situations where we need segregation. We need the lefties in their own city states or city states, and the guys on the right in their own places. And that's it. And, you know, you build a wall, you build a perimeter around the people that are the same as you, the people that you love, the ones that hold the same values or reasonably close to the same values. You protect it, you guard it, and you'll see in 10 years who the winning idea is, you know, whether it's these lefters or the righters.
Yeah.
But every
the
time
only
they've
thing
tried to
is-
do that, it's failed. Every time you've had left-leaning people that have tried to have their own society, communist, socialist, it's failed every single time.
Well, they
I mean, you
leave.
had
Like,
that-
that's the problem. Like, California is a very left-leaning state, and they
Right,
all
they
leave.
turn it
They've
into
gone
a
to
shithole,
Austin, they go to
and now they
Florida.
leave.
Same thing with New Yorkers. They leave New York and they go to Florida, and it's like, no, you have to stay on your side of the fucking fence, like on your side of the tracks. That's a solution to the problem, in my opinion. Is stop trying to negotiate with people that don't want to hear your opinion. They just want to hear their opinion coming out of your mouth. That's all they want. They don't want to hear a new opinion. They don't want a different point of view. They want you to be
They want to win.
fanatical as they are, and they want to hear their opinions coming out of your mouth. And it's not going to happen. And Charlie Kirk tried to fix that, and look what that got him. Doesn't matter, guys. It doesn't matter if it was this weirdo Robinson, if it's a Mossad, whoever the hell it was, but look where that got him. I'm pretty sure it's this Robinson kid with the whole tranny story behind it. Time will tell, though.
Yeah, I have a little theory about this too. Like, always, it's something I've always noticed throughout history. Well, throughout my life, is like conservatives will go build up an area and it will be prosperous. So like the builders, the creators, the people that produce more resources than they consume, always build up prosperity. And then that's when like the left or the Democrat stuff comes in and they start consuming everything, consuming more than they produce, and then they just consume and leech and consume like a cancer
Parasites.
until it falls apart, and then they move on to the next group. They move
You're
on.
right
to the next
about that,
area.
and it's because
parasites.
human beings, in my opinion, are too fucking nice, right? We're the only species on the planet that embraces laziness, incompetence, and granted, look, there's some people, a war vet that lost his legs, look after the guy, right? But there's a large contingent of people out there that want their fucking insanity celebrated, and we give it to them. We give them a day per year. That turns into a week. It turns into a fucking month. They start painting fucking walkways with rainbows and triangles and flags and all kinds of stuff like this. They force you to do things that you wouldn't necessarily do because it's against religious convictions. And it's just one thing after another down that slippery slope. Did you guys ever see that meme where they have like the slippery slope where it starts with like, oh, they just wanted a cake baked, sort of thing like that. Like, just give them the cake. And then it turns into like 9 other things where dudes are like cutting off their dicks and pretending they're women, right?
Well, it's this whole, it's none of them are happy. It's like they're the laziest and most lethargic people on the planet. They don't do anything. They lay in bed all day and watch TV and scroll on TikTok and go on and get their internet social media slop. And they have nothing but comfort surrounding them. And they're the most unhappy group of people on the planet. The guys that I know that are happiest and most fulfilled, not that happiness is a goal. Happiness is a fleeting emotion, just like sadness, just like depression, just like any other emotion. It's fleeting. It's not a state of being. But the guys that I know that have more happiness and have more purpose and fulfillment, I should say, in their lives are the ones that are out doing things. They're the ones that are chasing excellence. They're the ones that are putting themselves through the grinder and hammering themselves into, a sword. They're forging themselves in the fire, right? And these people have become so obsessed with comfort that it's the thing that actually makes them deeply, deeply inadequate and deeply unhappy. And so what they're actually trying to do is just bringing everybody down to their same level of unhappiness. They have no personal responsibility where they want to get better. It's not, they don't want to cure themselves. They want to poison everybody else. And when your entire identity is becoming a victim, you can't get better because then you have no identity anymore. Progressivism is just the idea that things are always moving in one direction, but there's no goal. It's this vague, well, we want to make progress. It's like, well, what's the end goal? Well, until everybody's equal forever and has access to all the same things. And it's like, have you ever read a fucking history book? Do you know anything about the fundamental biological differences about humans and how we're all tribal animals? And again, this all goes back to letting women run the fucking show. You take a creature who has no responsibility or accountability ever, who is always going to be protected, even though they claim to be a biggest victims, they be the victimization class, even though they're the most celebrated and the most protected. And you put them in charge of things. And because women have no history or evolutionary drive to maintain a perimeter or to go out and defend, or never having to fight and face a world of real and imminent danger and death, they have no semblance. Everybody is the same. This is what I got on this woman.
The empire of nothing.
Well, this woman had a problem with me apparently on Tuesday after the ladies' night show, because we were talking about how women tend to lack situational awareness and they tend to put themselves in situations that are dangerous because they don't have anybody telling them not to, and B, because they're so protected. Like, women live in this fantasy world where it's like, oh, things just happen for me. I just manifest things. The universe just works in my favor, not understanding that there's hundreds of men that are propping up the world that they live in. Like, I turn the light switch on and it just comes on because magic. I just manifested it. Meanwhile, there's a guy that keeps their fucking light, like whatever. We have to go down that road. But the point that I was trying to make, she's like, well, I was like, look, you know what I would do to protect my daughter and keep her safe? You know what you can do to have like sexual assaults and violence against women reduced to near zero is you tell them who to avoid. You tell them you don't go out to certain parts of town at night. You don't go willingly into situations where things like alcohol and drugs and things that you can't control with strangers are going to be involved. And if you can do those three things, you can pretty much get the chance of something bad happening to you to near zero. It's not impossible, but the women love to conflate this idea of probability versus possibility. And the point she was making, she's like, well, you can
That's why
get
they picked the
murdered
bear.
filling up because they're fucking stupid. It's like, well, you can go and fill up your gas or go to the grocery store and get assaulted and get murdered. So it can happen anytime.
Mm-hmm.
So therefore, and I was like, and it's that exact messaging and it's that exact rhetoric that gets women fucking killed. When you try to convince women that it's no less dangerous for you to go grocery shopping at 12 p.m. on a Saturday than it is to go out to a club or a bar where alcohol and strange men and all of that is happening at 2 a.m, you are setting these people up to fail. And it's disgusting. And I won't come off of that. And I won't make some fucking bimbo on our show feel better for spewing that shit. That's my
that's not what we do, man. We point to the facts and they're going to have to hear it. And that's just the way that is. Let me just, here, I got this other thing queued up over here that came across my X feed the other day. So this is a street interview about what happened to Charlie Kirk. Let's see if we can play this.
How do you feel about Charlie Kirk getting assassinated?
Some people say it's deserved.
To get murdered in front of his children and family?
When God calls you home, you gotta go.
You think God called him home? It's well deserved. For him specifically getting killed, womp womp, he got what he deserved. Honestly, I feel like he just got what he deserved. No shade.
Don't you think it's disgusting to be celebrating someone's death?
Well, coming from a perspective as a woman of color, and
that justifies it?
100%, I feel like. Because nobody gave a fuck when it was MLK, Malcolm X.
We don't like those kind of deaths either.
There's no group of white people that I see pushing so hard for those type of deaths.
That was a while ago. We equally condemn those deaths.
Do we? I mean,
you're talking to me right now. You think that most conservative white men want black people to die?
Well, the one who recently just died, Charlie, definitely thought so. You basically wanted black people to be slaves. Like, what are you talking about?
I feel like if you wish death on other people, for that to happen to you, it's kind of like, that's just karma.
Who does he wish death on?
He said awful things about trans people, doesn't care about their rights, or like he's a conservative.
So if you don't like trans people, you deserve to be shot in the neck?
100% the people who oppress us deserve to die. Like,
so if you don't like trans people, you deserve to be shot in the neck?
Yes. Like he made it very known verbally that he does not support any of us. And he spoke reckless, and I guess he got hit for that. So he put himself at risk saying all those nasty ass things and then going publicly in front of people. And plus he was the same person that said guns lives matter, right? So obviously what happened to him is just like he would approve of it. Guns lives matter. Someone used the gun and it saved lives. We agree. I agree. I don't care if it's ignorance or coming out of hatred from my heart. It's opinionated.
How do you She has not heard 5 seconds of anything Charlie Kirk ever had to say.
No,
Let's start there.
Guns lives matter. You know, he wanted black people to be slaves. He never said any of that shit. I never heard.
He didn't even imply it. He didn't even go to anywhere close to anything that could be even conflated to saying that.
But
that's how retarded and how
a lifetime consuming mainstream media that's calling everybody that doesn't agree with you a fascist or a Nazi.
This bitch is allowed to vote. This fucking bitch is allowed to fucking vote, and her vote cares as much as everybody on this panel, minus Rich. That's the fucking problem. You can be this fucking retarded, and your voice still carries the same weight as mine.
Well, this is why the gloves are off for a lot of people, I think, now, right? So, like, the worst thing Charlie Kirk said about trans people is that he wants to help them find happiness. Like, that's the worst thing he said, right? So it's like, we sent our best messenger. Like, there's no more moderate, more understanding, more compromising person doing dialogues like this on the right. And he's like, so like 30 years ago, he'd be a liberal, right? Like total classical liberal. So like we sent our most moderate, most considerate, most understanding messenger, and they killed him. So everyone's like, well, fuck it then. I'll just say whatever I want, and I'm going to do whatever I want and fuck all these people.
Well, that's essentially what's going to happen. You know, to Moff's point earlier, again, this is something else that showed up. This is to do with Japan, Tokyo. Tokyo's governor plans to import thousands of immigrants from Egypt. Tokyo already is the largest city in the world. There's no labor shortage. You got your Kyo, whatever governor of Tokyo, sitting beside George Soros over here. My comment over here was female policymakers fuck everything up. And this is what ends up happening, right? Like don't bother encouraging the domestic Japanese population to have more kids or anything like that. Don't bring them in from the farmland. Let's just import people because I sit beside George Soros and he told me to do so, which seems to be the plot nowadays from the globalist agenda, right?
TC, how's that going to work? Right? Like, I mean, you know about you knew the Japanese people. Like, what the fuck? Like, what the fuck? Like, what are they going to say about this? What are they going to do?
It's going to be worse than, I don't know if you've ever seen the videos of foreigners getting absolutely, like, essentially hate crimed on in China. It's going to be like 10 times worse than that.
Well, like you can't eat at our restaurant. Like, get the fuck out of here. Like,
it's already like that.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Asians
are
like that racist, man.
In Japan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think they got a federal government law where they don't allow Muslims in their country to live.
Yeah, China was
because
taking down mosques.
Yeah, and what is it? And Japan was like, we don't. I know the federal government had a law for a long time. They don't allow Muslims into their country to settle because they're like, they don't assimilate, and then they try to take over the area and institute their rules and regulations and their laws. And so they're like, they like ban Muslims from immigrating to Japan, but I don't know how recent that is. I have to look up, but obviously someone's trying to change that.
There's a clip here from one of EU's where is he? Speakers, Dominic. The guy's from Poland. I can't remember his last name. Let me pull it up. Here it is. And he gives a minute speech. There's another speech that I have, but it's translated, so I don't want to play that one. I'll do the one that he does in English. But this is pretty straightforward, right? This guy is Dominic Turzhaski or something like that. You should recognize his face.
For 1 minute.
You have to turn up a
Mr.
bit.
President, dear leftists, you've been attacking President Trump for years. Now you're whining about tariffs. You're not happy that he doesn't want to be your private bodyguard. But it's not Trump's decision to spend money on illegal migrants instead of army or industry. It's not Trump's fault that you restricted European industry because of your green gut and because of your sick ideology. It's not his fault. It's time to be a man. It's time to take care of yourself. It's time to stop wearing dresses and be a man. Put on an armor, not a dress. And your laughter will not change the fact that this is your fault. This is your fault. You destroyed and make Europe weak. So be a man. Be strong. Be brave. Be like Poland. Because you're not going to laugh in a minute. Russian drones are flying over Poland. And what you're doing, you're having another discussion about helping migrants. And you're laughing. You're not going to laugh for long. That is the problem. You do not understand your position. So stop attacking us, because we are the force in Europe to save Europe, to restore Europe. We are the brave ones, and you got only laughter because you are safe here in this building, in this parliament. Over 1 million people will take streets of London this Saturday, and you will see the unity. You will see the strength of the patriots. Be brave. Be like Poland. Thank you.
I always love that guy.
I don't know if you guys know much about the Polish, but they're fucking badasses, man. During the Second World War, they were some of the best pilots during the Battle of Britain. I think when the Bismarck had its rudder fucked up by the Swordfish torpedo bomber, the British Navy couldn't catch up to it, but there was a Polish destroyer that attacked it head on. A little fucking boat attacked a battleship. Took a couple of fucking shots at it before it peeled off, but the Polish don't fuck around, right? Like, this is their policy. This is how they're at. And it's like the rest of Europe is crumbling around it. And, he's first talking about them being mad at Trump for not being their bodyguard anymore. Cause Trump's basically like, look, I'm not going to fucking do all this shit for you guys if you're going to destroy Europe. 1. 2, he's basically saying, be a man, stop wearing dresses, right? Like, fucking grow up and let's get some stuff done here, sort of thing. Very fucking base guy, right? Like, very right to the, and that's just how the Polacks are. They're just right to the point, man. Good people.
Yeah, we
and they're not getting overrun like UK. Like, they're not being overrun with migrants and having stabbing epidemics. Go ahead, Al.
Yeah, it was like our military. We go over there all the time. We train the Polish. Like right now, we have We got guys that go down, like battalions that go down there, and they'll train. They'll be on the Polish side, and they'll train the Ukrainians, so the Ukrainians can go in and do all their stuff with like European equipment and all that good stuff. But yeah, they're a blast. Them, the Georgians, and the Czech guys. Those are pretty. Those guys are pretty freaking solid.
As far as keeping their country isolated from a lot of the problem, Hungary is doing a decent job of that as well. As far as EU countries.
Let me just share another clip over here that I've got queued up as well. So this is looks like a bit of a highlight reel of some of the left's best media pieces. So have a listen to this.
Let me ask you tonight, do you think Donald Trump is a fascist?
Yes, I do.
This is what kicking the shit out of fascism looks like.
Try to prevent the spread of the lawlessness and the fascist chaos that's been unleashed against us.
So when we say Donald Trump is a fascist, fascism, a huge component of fascism is uniting racism, bigotry, a form of racist nationalism.
We are now living in a fascist dictatorship.
We are worried about potential rise of fascism in this country. We're worried about our democracy falling to an authoritarian and potentially fascist form of government.
Not only to roll over to Donald Trump's will, but to roll over our democracy and allow him to take over this country as a fascist dictator.
When fascism isn't just coming, it's already here.
The former chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Mark Milley, said, "No one has ever been more dangerous to this country than Donald Trump, and he is a fascist to his core."
Well, there you hear it. There's all your media pieces about all the fascism, and
But nobody knows what the fuck that means, do they? Not a single one of them can define what fascist actually means. You saw AOC's stupid dumbass had to look down at her fucking notes because she didn't even know what fascism was. She's like, fascism is this thing like, and then racism. Oh yeah, that's like.
I'll help you out because I Googled it and I shared this post over here. One of the things that stood out to me was the glorification of military strength and use of violence to advance national goals. I don't see them doing that domestically. Suppression of opposition. Charlie Kirk just went around talking to people. Forcible suppression of political opponents, often through violence and imprisonment. Who's been imprisoned by Donald Trump? Right? Like a lot of these notions of the Republican Party or the right being fascist don't really have any basis that I can see.
Zero.
Well, did you notice what else? It's a bunch of women and low T men.
All of them.
Well, it always is, yeah.
But it's like they can't even define it. Like they just use these buzzwords that rile the people up. And that's the thing. People don't have critical thinking skills. It's all based on whatever I feel is correct. And if you make me feel differently, then you need to die. That's their platform.
And then you get this, you get a couple walking in.
So this guy just said he wanted to murder our baby as we were walking past. And now they're going to put him under arrest. He said, "I'm going to murder your wife and baby."
Yeah, he literally said that. This guy right there.
See what he looks like.
Walking past.
So we're going to press charges.
He said he wanted to kill our white baby. How sick can people be? This is disgusting. I'm completely outraged. You can't even walk down the streets of Washington, D.C. without people acting like this.
And, you wonder why these guys are radicalized. It's because they're consuming mainstream media narratives and they're in these like echo chambers of servers and Antifa, stories about everybody that's not them is fascist, a Nazi, punch a Nazi, they're race, whatever the narrative is that they keep fucking cramming down their throat, the go-to words for the day. But this is where we're at, right? And you can't talk to these people. That's it. Like city states, man, just segregate the entire United States of America and Canada while you're at it, please. I'll go to Alberta. I don't fucking care. Or just give me a passport to come to the States and I'll move down. But just put everybody that thinks alike together. Humans are tribal, right? You want to join the cut off your dick town, just move over there. They'll lob it off when you walk through the gates. They'll put it in a little Ziploc bag and some ice and you can stick it in your fridge if you want. You can walk down rainbow streets. You can have parades every day, not wearing any clothes, right? It's straightforward. I'm all for it, man. Segregation works. Humans are tribal. Let us live with the people that we want to live with.
Women will never allow it. As long as women have the right to vote, they'll never allow it.
Women have to be scared enough to let the guys be back in charge. And that generally doesn't happen until there's mass social unrest. And that may be where we're headed.
Well, I think we can talk about.
No, I don't think so. I think civil war is a couple of words. I think there just might be more violence. I don't know what else to say about it.
What was the basis of the American Civil War? Sorry, guys, I don't know American history. Phil,
they'll tell you it was about slavery.
Tell you it's slavery, but it wasn't.
Yeah, it wasn't. Yeah, Moff, go ahead with that. I think you know more.
Well, it was the fundamental difference was states' rights versus states wanted to govern themselves. States' rights versus federal rights. Actually, it was a very, 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 very small percentage of the Southern population that had enough money to own slaves, right? Everybody thinks that if you were a white man in the South, you owned slaves. It was a very, very, very small percentage of the population. Mostly you were poor, just like everybody else, right? You were just a farmer, but they didn't want people that lived far away from them. They didn't want people that didn't live in the same town or state or county as them voting on making decisions that were going to impact them. So it was blatantly a states' rights versus federal rights issue. And when they weren't respected, and you said, the people in Washington are not there, or the people in New York can vote on federal policy that affects me down here in Alabama or Virginia or wherever you are in the South. They said that's ridiculous because those people are never going to set foot in my state. They're never going to meet me or shake hands with me. They're never going to put food on the table for me and my family. They don't get to tell me what to do. And everybody likes to just say the people in the South were racist and they wanted to keep slaves. So therefore everybody was so racist. They wanted to go to war over it. And the North was this amazing, we were the heroes, when Abraham Lincoln was just like, no, he just didn't want to be known as the president that couldn't keep the Union together. That was really it. If you know anything about Lincoln, his one and only priority for the war was preserve the Union. That's it. So much so that he let Sherman burn down half the damn country in an effort to win. So that's really what it boiled down to. It's states that wanted to govern themselves and not have people that they would, much like right now. People move to Florida, they move to Texas, they move to Kentucky, they move to places where these people that live in California and New York and all these other places don't get to bother them and make policy for them. So it's the United States, after the Articles of Confederation failed very miserably. That was the first government that the Americans tried to instill after the Revolutionary War that gave states too much power and not enough federal powers. And then you had the Constitution, but there were still points where, especially southern states, just felt like there were Northerners encroaching on their way of life, and they decided to fight back.
See the problem in today's world is a lot of this narrative, a lot of this anger, a lot of this hatred and vitriol, and the subsequent assassination of Charlie Kirk. It's thwarted by like these people that they're not warriors.
Correct. They're gardeners.
They're gardeners.
They're not even
basically.
gardeners. They can't even do that. They're fucking
probably can't even garden. You're right, but
no, it's just parasites.
It's mostly women and soft men. They don't have the capacity to wage war. And the people that do are actually very peaceful and tolerant and reluctant to do anything at this point. And there's nothing that's pushed them over the edge yet.
Yeah, there's something said about sort of the higher estrogen types. When they fly into a rage, they can't control it. Where the higher testosterone types or the healthy testosterone types, like, we actually will downregulate rage if something happens. So, that kind of should tell you a lot about, like, that chick who gets all pissed off at a guy twice her size at the bar and wants to fight him. Mm-hmm. It's that kind of thing. If somebody were to come out, for example, we were driving a few weeks ago. My wife is pretty cool, but sometimes she, gets upset. And these guys were like on her ass. And without telling me, she rolled down her window and tried to tell those guys off. Mm-hmm. And so basically I'm like looking at her, and they drove off, and I looked at her and said, what the fuck? Excuse my language. I'm like, if you're going to do something like that, tell me first, because I'm the guy that's going to go to jail for putting that guy on the ground. You know, so, and she got it, and she's not normally like that. That's not her style. It's just, you know, sometimes we get upset.
Yeah.
But I think this is a really good example of the kind of people who want to talk about shooting people, and they're celebrating over these deaths, and they're saying all these people should die and all that. They're not the ones to do the killing.
Yeah, but not them, right? They're not the ones that are going to do it.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
someone
Okay,
should
fine.
kick your ass. It ain't going to
Here's
be
your
you, though, is
rifle.
it, fat ass?
You know, go, here's your rifle, sign up for military. Let me see you go put yourself on the front line, if that's what you want to do. Good luck.
Let's just take a quick break, guys. I'm going to run a mid-roll ad, grab some water, and then we'll deal with the super chats and stuff and carry on. This episode is sponsored by yours truly. Brothers, if you like me and you take what you put in your body seriously, you'll want to use the Unplugged Alpha supplements. An obsession with engineering higher absorption rates is what sets my line apart from the others. You want to make sure that you absorb as much of the supplements as possible so you don't end up peeing out expensive urine and wasting your money. My supplement line is made in the United States from the highest quality domestic ingredients, and unlike your typical cheap supplements in plastic bottles, only quality supplements ship in dark glass bottles to keep your supplements fresher, longer, and won't seep endocrine disrupting microplastics into your supplements that end up in your body. Nothing is a hard tablet. Everything is in an easily digested, bioavailable capsule. You can filter all products by your goals, including testosterone support, estrogen metabolism, fat burning, sleep support, and performance. Visit www.theunpluggedalpha.com/shop and use the subscribe and save option to get 10% off your recurring supplement orders. Or check out my popular testosterone bundles and save 17%. Guys, if you want to know everything I know today that I wish my dad taught me, start by joining the School of Unplugging. There are over 40 hours of never-before-seen videos in a private classroom that teach you how to create true wealth, create and manage relationships with women stress-free, and optimize your looks, and so much more. There's also a very well-organized discussion board and a members map for networking, along with weekly Zoom calls held by me and my team of experts with backgrounds in strength, nutrition, finance, investing, and entrepreneurship, all for a low monthly membership that you can cancel at any time. Go ahead and visit richcooper.ca, and on the courses tab of the website, you can navigate to the School of Unplugging and get started there. Guys, make sure you check out the rest of my website for my communities, requesting a one-on-one private consultation, or learning about my events. Now let's get on with the show. All right, let's do these super chats. So TJB goes, both sides have made fun of death. Trayvon Martin was mocked with Skittles and kids laying on the ground. The knee on the neck memes, two wrongs. I didn't see a lot of people on the right making fun of this death. This is not something I've seen whatsoever. Did you guys see this?
Yourself, TJB, go fuck yourself, by the way.
Okay, well, there you go. Frankie, they killed the most moderate right winger. They have no idea what hornet's nest they just poked at. I would love to say this is true, Frankie, but I don't think we're there yet. I don't think that pivotal, I don't think the catalyst is ignited yet. That's going to wake up. I mean, we'll see. You know, we saw JD Vance today talking about putting some measures in place to make sure that funding and the narratives are dealt with in a more appropriate fashion, but we'll see. Rizzo says, appreciate all you covering this. I'm pretty pissed about all the insane people in the world. Longtime listener. Appreciate it, Rizzo. Thanks. If I remember right, the Polish are not allowing immigrants in. I'm part Polish. Yeah, from what I understand, that's actually correct. G-Bags, what are your thoughts on the future of public discourse in the West following Kirk's assassination? I think it may be the beginning of the end, as people no longer are reasonable and willing to censor conservative voices. You know, we talked about this at the opening. Ben Shapiro canceled his university tour. I don't think you're going to see as many people in open spaces, scheduled open spaces, where a Joe Blow with a fucking shitty zeroed in Mauser sporterized rifle can take him out at 200 yards. If people are still going to keep doing that, they're asking for it, in my opinion, because the left has already said, like the party of tolerance and Nazis and fascism and all that sort of stuff. They've made it very clear what it is that they're about and what they celebrate. So I don't think you're going to see a lot of public town squares anymore. Maybe online you'll still see it. We'll probably start talking about politics a little bit more here too. We were talking about this last week, Moff, and I have no problem covering it. It's not something that you can exert a lot of change in. They try, and that's one of the reasons why I've never put a lot of effort in covering it before. I mean, you can point to a lot of the crazy shit that's happened. Sure, we can make an entire career out of talking about all the nutty stuff that goes on that doesn't make sense. But it's really difficult to provide solutions for it aside from vote for the party that's less insane.
Well, the solutions are, yes, discourse and debate is dead, in my opinion. That's dead. It died with Charlie Kirk, and we'll never go back. This is my message. So we talk about what's a path forward? How do we go forward from here? What do we do with all this information? And exactly why we don't ever cover politics is because it's all about, we can share our opinions on things, but we don't have the power to enact change. We don't have, we're just some guys with some microphones. But the plan remains the same. But hopefully you guys are waking up or have been awoken up to the fact that when we talk about building a tribe and drawing a perimeter around your people and being around like-minded, strong, virtuous men, it's not a punchline. We're not shilling anything here. We're trying to equip you with, and I'm not even saying join our tribe, like join the brotherhood. I mean, obviously the door's open to guys that watch this channel, and you can apply and you can book a call and we can see if it's a good fit and all those things. But it's not just letting in people willy-nilly. Like, there's an application process, whatever. We can talk about that another time. But it's never been more imperative for you to, you need to be in top physical shape so you can protect yourself. You need to learn how to fight, and you need to learn how to shoot. You need to learn how to, you need to be in such good physical shape that you can do a dead sprint for 100 yards and not keel over and die of a heart attack, because there might come a time where you need to get the hell out of Dodge. And maybe you even need to carry a kid or your wife with you. And if you're sitting at 300 pounds and you get out of breath getting up out of the lazy boy, well, you're nothing but a target. You're cannon fodder at that point, my friend. 2, you need to find your tribe of like-minded, virtuous, strong men. You need to build a network around yourself or join a network of already like-minded people, as long as you pass the test, so you don't have to depend on a government that hates you for resources. So you don't have to send your kids to a public school that is trying to indoctrinate them that men can be women and women can be men. So you don't have to go and deal with doctors that have taken a Hippocratic oath to preserve life, that are cheering for the death of a father of 2 infants and 2 toddlers and an infant, whatever it might be. You shouldn't have to deal with these people. And if you want to be this fucking Sigma male or whatever, and I don't need anybody, and I'm a lone wolf, Muff, I don't need anything, then you're going to be the first one to fucking die. You're going to be the first person who's going to be like, oh, please, when the power grid goes out, or when you can't find somebody to look after your sick kid because they can look up your political affiliations in your voter record and see that, oh, you're a Trump voter? Guess what, motherfucker? You might be bleeding out, but you're going to the back of the line because there's some fat bitch with blue hair and a fucking nose ring that just walked in, and I stand with her because trans rights. If you guys aren't waking up to this fact, this is not a punchline. This is I'm imploring you guys to start figuring out how to take care of yourselves. This is like something is going to carry with us through the rest of life. This is not another 15-minute news cycle where we're just going to forget about this. This is an absolute, pardon the ham-fisted reference here, this is absolutely the turning point. Politically, in the American sphere, things are going to change, and things are going to change fast. And if you're not ready and you're not prepared, you're fucked.
I think that the most you're going to see from my assessment of the situation, I could be wrong, is you'll probably see the government pull any kind of funding that endorses any of the negative behavior that they're going to classify, like dancing on the man's graves, political assassinations, anything that they can sort of like cut off the head of the snake, I don't think it's going to solve the problem, because these people will still do their shit online on Discord servers or Blue Sky or whatever the fucking social media is for the people that cut off their dicks. They're still going to be out there. So again, guys, like, I really think that the solution to all this is segregated city states. Rizzo says here, I believe Ben Shapiro talked about hosting venues in more secure environments, sports arenas, but the cost of it, security might be an issue. Again, the problem with these venues is it's a scheduled event. If somebody hates you and they know that you're going to be somewhere at a certain period of time, they can put together plans to take you out. And unless, like, you're not going to get a lot of security unless you're the president of the United States. Like, even the president of the United States, sorry, he wasn't the president at the time because he was giving a speech before he was elected president, but there was an assassination attempt on him. There was an assassination attempt when he was playing golf when he was the president. So even the president of the United States has had attempts on him as well. You got to be crazy to put yourself in an environment where it's a scheduled event. They know that you're going to be somewhere, and there's people there that hate you. They don't want to talk to you. They just want to erase you.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, the best way of security is going to be small venues, like small enclosed venues with buildings where everybody gets searched before they come in. And that's basically the only way that's going to happen.
Yeah.
But with the internet, why even do that? Like, you can have everybody call in. You can have Zooms. You can have remote. Like, there's no reason to do this stuff anymore. There's no reason to host these in-person events. Like, you can just have people dial in from a Zoom, or you can just, be in your studio, and then you can you get a projector and fill an auditorium or a stadium and just have it be a live feed. You can just, that's how it's going to be now.
It's not the same.
Yeah,
Anyone that's ever,
of course, it's not the same. But what the benefit no longer outweighs the risk.
Oh, sure it does. Absolutely.
You think it makes more? You think it makes sense to continue doing this stuff?
Is anyone that's willing to put their life on the line, how much more respect do you get from them? If someone that actually is willing to put their life on the line for their beliefs and knowing they can be killed any moment of their life, how much respect does that earn through men? I'm not saying through women. I'm saying through men. Men that actually put their lives on the line. You gain a lot of respect.
That's why so many people have so much respect for Charlie Kirk right now.
Yep,
totally. Because he would have gone out. Somebody told him
sacrifice.
Somebody told him, "Hey, man, you're going to go out there and get shot." He would have done it anyway.
Yeah,
he still would have gone out there. He'd been like, "Fine." Yeah.
How many threats do you think this man got a day from going to these colleges? Like, and they're credible threats. He had really good security. I've seen his security detail. They're really good. He just doesn't have enough of them for that long length and that kind of opening. So, but because of this, he has unified so many people just because he's willing to pay that ultimate sacrifice because he knew it was worth it. So that's why he went for it. And then he will always be remembered. Like, this man will be remembered, like just like Abraham Lincoln, right? He'll be remembered as one of them.
When Congress was in and they made the statement, "Oh, Charlie Kirk's been shot. Let's have a moment of silence." And then the lefties were all screaming no.
Yep, and then they show you who they are.
Assassinated, and they just all started screaming no and having a meltdown. Wild.
Yep, and then everybody just take note who those people are, because then you know who your enemies are. And this is something I've always noticed too, is these politicians will always talk like this because lack of accountability. They never get held accountable for their actions or words or anything. Same thing with mainstream media. But what's going to happen is if stuff like this keeps happening down the road, you're going to start seeing people disappear. And what I mean is left people will disappear because there's plenty of people, ex-military, way more talented than I am, you'll just start seeing politicians disappear, dragged out into the streets and stuff like that. You'll start seeing that. And it's because it'll get to that point. And I hope it doesn't get to that point, because it gets to that point, it's real bad.
What would it take to get to that point in your estimation, Alan?
If they took out President Trump, it would be that point. If they assassinate that man, it's done. Especially now that he's president, even more. And the change that he was bringing about, and they already took out Charlie, and if they take him out, then that's it. And the only other thing I can see in the United States that would get us to that point of, like, let's say actual civil war with people actually putting in effort, is if they actually ban the Second Amendment, like completely outright.
Well, we had JFK
Mm-hmm.
assassinated. There was no civil war. We had an attempt on Ronald Reagan. He was shot. There was no civil war. I don't know, man. I don't know that.
But you don't have the
those are
media.
Those
You
are
don't
very
have social media like that now.
Social
It's also
media-
different.
Yeah,
Charlie
right.
was one of
You
us.
know.
Charlie's not a
Yep.
politician. Charlie's one of us. He's just a dude that believed in stuff, who believed in having conversations. And then social media age, he blew up. He absolutely had the impact of somebody like a politician or like a president or something like that. But I think like people didn't get up in arms with the Trump assassination attempt and things like that. I think it's just because we're so far removed from those people and we don't know what it's like to be in that kind of life or sphere. But Charlie was just a regular dude. He was a conservative Christian father of two who just decided to grab a microphone and start talking to people. It could have been any one of us that decided to do that. He was a talented orator. He was a great debater. He was smart as shit. He decided, hey, I'm going to start this thing and we're going to bring young men into the fold and tell them that they're not demons and that they're okay people and they can do the right thing and they can work hard and make money, put food on the table for them and their family. And that's all they really need to do. They don't need to apologize for things that they didn't cause or problems they're not responsible for. He's all of us, man.
Yeah, and to take it back to Kennedy and Reagan too, let's not forget that they deflected what might have been a response by saying it was a lone gunman, a crazy guy, right? Oh, it's just a crazy guy that did it, right? At this point, I'm not saying that the guy that shot Kirk wasn't some lone crazy guy. Maybe he was, maybe he wasn't. I'm not convinced, but no one's buying it anymore, right? Like if Trump got taken out, nobody's going to buy that it was a lone nut. And that's a big, big difference. And on top of that, in the 1960s, when was Kennedy? Kennedy was killed at 63, if I'm not mistaken.
63, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, life was good, man. Like everybody was prosperous. You did. I'm sure you had some issues, but I don't think we were at war at that point. Like life was really good in those times. Reagan at that time, again, I'm too young to remember the way life was at that time. I was alive, but I know economics were a little difficult, but we weren't in the situation we are. And the social media component, like Alan said, that's a big component as well.
Changed everything.
There's
because there's no mainstream narrative that cannot be brought up with social media. Because back then, all you had was TV and newspapers, which were easily controlled, anyways. So
there's a search result I got here on AI on Antifa. I was asking about it being designated as a terrorist organization. There's no current formal designation. FBI
Trump said he would, though.
FBI and DHS views FBI describes Antifa as an ideology or movement rather than an organized group and investigates related violence and domestic terrorism on a case-by-case basis. Now, there's been congressional efforts apparently starting in 2019 called for designation, but it stalled. Again, in 2021, similar effort, no action. Again, in 2025, introduced January 2025 by Marjorie Taylor Greene, deeming certain Antifa conduct as terrorism and calling for designation and remains unresolved as of September. Maybe that'll change. State level attempts like 2023 Montana bill have also failed or faced criticism lacking evidence of Antifa. Well, if they can, I mean, look, they got this kid's computer, his cell phone, his Discord servers. They got everything on him by now. So if it's there, they should have plenty of evidence to fucking designate this group or anything that he was involved in as like the indoctrination camp of psychopaths. Like assassinations are what psychopaths do.
Well, they asked Trump at like 5:15 today if he'd be willing to designate Antifa as a terrorist organization. He says, yeah, he's like, I'm going to talk to Pam first, but he's like that in other groups. And, you know, they're quiet behind the scenes, but they're being very vocal, at least like Trump. And they're like, oh, like, yeah, he's like, no, this is the left. This is not both sides. Like they're not giving into both good people on both sides narrative or like, oh, we both have to come together. They're done with it. Trump is done with it. JD is done with it.
I don't know what else you can give him, man. You know, they gave him gay marriage, they gave him parades, they gave him fucking surgeries, they gave
that's
him
not the point. They don't want that. They want to infect everything. It's a never ending moving of the goalposts. It's the never ending moving of the goalpost. That's what progressivism is. It's if they're not able to play victim, their entire existence ceases to be. And they can't get everything they ever wanted because then they're no longer allowed to play victim. It's the same
It just
reason.
goes back to tolerating mediocrity. Do you think ancient
Oh.
Rome tolerated mediocrity?
No, these people would all be dead. They'd all be dead of starvation because they wouldn't be able to. They wouldn't work, or they'd be killed off. We'd like feed them to the lions in the fucking Colosseum. But it's the same reason. Like these people need to be victims to feel validated. Like even giving trans people what they want, which is recognition and saying, "Oh, you're a dude. Actually, you're a chick. Fine, you're a chick. Cool. Here's your surgery." They still off themselves at the exact same rate. Like every single affirmation that trans people get for entire communities in Reddit and Discord feeds and servers and mutilation surgeries and all of these affirmations, they still kill themselves at the exact same rate as if they don't get affirmations and treatment. That's like, if that's not the most damning evidence out there, I don't know what is, but people seem to be like, oh, well, we just need to be nicer to them. It's crazy.
I don't think you can be any nicer, man.
No, we need to do the opposite.
You're already bending over backwards, kissing the fucking ground that they walk on, essentially. And it's even worse in Canada. It's even worse here.
Well, so, and Alan, I think you said it the other day in the chat. These, especially like the troons. So these are people who they're already unstable. What's that?
What's a troon?
Trans.
Okay.
It's just like you say that so you don't get kicked off the
We don't
internet.
call them trannies anymore. We call them troons. Okay.
I can't even
Yeah,
say troons on TikTok. They banned that comment. I use double zeros too, and they still banned it. I'm like,
They still
damn,
ban it.
it's
Yeah.
up.
So
Yeah, they're catching up.
So they're already unstable, and then once they start to move them towards like whatever surgeries and stuff, they start putting them on psychoactive medications. So you got unstable people on psychoactive meds, and then you have the media feeding them left and right. They're trying to kill you. They're trying to genocide you. They're trying to kill you. They're trying to genocide you. What do you think that a mentally unstable person being told that somebody's trying to kill them is going to do? And this is like a microcosm of the bigger picture. Communism is not about communism. It's a wrecking ball. Look at any country that communism has ever gone to. It goes there, it wrecks whatever civilization built before it, and then it fails, and the people rebuild. It's not meant to help anybody, but it's a mind virus. And I know that's like a trite hack thing that everybody says now, the woke mind virus, but that is exactly what it is.
Yeah, and it's smart people using weak people to get power. That's basically it is. It's smart people using sheep so they can get more power, so they can get more of their political objectives, more whatever they want, pushed through government.
What do you guys think of this return to the land movement? This air vault dude, President Return to the Land PMA organization.
Quite interesting. It'll be interesting to see how it holds up.
Will they let Democrats in, or is it just based on?
I would assume not.
Is that one, that Christian group?
Yeah, it's
okay. That's why I make sure
it's for European descended whites to live in their own communities.
Yeah, and then you got to go through a checklist. Well, I'm hoping they're weeding out doers and non-doers, right? So like you can have like a semi-liberal person that's like grounded in like reality, and it's like, yeah, I'm coming out here to work and produce. Basically, just make sure you're getting producers and not consumers.
Well, there's some. I looked into it a bit. Someone sent me it as like, hey, check out these people. Living like a homestead, homeschooling, more off-grid type of community, right? And not to talk a lot of shit, and obviously I don't know these people, and maybe they were acting this way because of the cameras, but some of them don't seem like the sharpest tools in the shed. So I think, and so they've made essentially like they bought these pieces of land and like subdivided them, and you pay membership to get a lot, right? And like the whole way that all this is structured and owned and in trust and stuff is supposed to protect it from like violating the Civil Rights Act or whatever, right? It's like a membership type thing. And I wouldn't trust, like from what I saw, I wouldn't trust for those boxes to have been checked.
Mm-hmm.
So like anyone that is interested in it, maybe like buy another piece of land down the road and kind of live by them.
Yeah, and I think he had like one dude has like majority of the share, so that way it can't be sold off or anything like that. I can't remember what it was. I was looking at to it, which kind of seems smart. It was like so no one can come in, no one person or like a group commune can come in and then try to like basically what you do is come in and get so many people to buy the land, and then they outvote you, and then so basically they throw you out your own spot.
Well, that's
It
the
was
other
like
issue is like this guy, like I have to trust that guy to not fuck it up, right? Because I'm on his land.
All right.
So that's the other issue.
Yeah, I don't know too much about it. I saw it a couple months ago, but it doesn't deal with like the political spectrum, from what I understand. So there's really nothing out there that exists that segregates you based on your political beliefs.
Well, they not political, but they did build one for black people, and nobody said a word about it. But as soon as white people want to do it, then all of a sudden it's, you have some British guy coming in and asking him, "Oh, are you white nationalist?" Trying to bait him. Like, people just live where they want to live, and everybody else can shut the fuck up.
Yeah. Okay. Got it. All right. Well, you guys want to start to wrap up? Anything you want to say before we finish up? All right, cool. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the dialogue tonight. I mean, if you want to see more of this kind of stuff, let us know in the comments. We're happy to talk about just about anything. That like the notion of unplugging, I've always said, has been a very broad concept. It's definitely not isolated to just getting better results in relationships with chicks. There's a lot more to it, and we talk about it in many of the other aspects that we have when we're kind of getting together and doing meetups and paddling away in a canoe and shit like that. But this is the first time that we've kind of activated it publicly because the whole Charlie Kirk thing hit us all pretty fucking hard, to be honest with you. It's a heavy week, starting with that Ukrainian girl and then the Charlie Kirk thing, and it's like, fuck, dude, it's like, what the hell is going on out there? That's something that weighs on a lot of people. Like, I've had a lot of people say, my wife was crying. I didn't even know who this guy was, and I looked him up, and seems like a nice guy, and I don't understand. And then you start to see the social media compilations of all the people dancing on the guy's grave. So we figured we'd have a chat about it, include you guys in it, and table some of this. So thanks for watching us. We'll see you guys soon. Peace. All right, guys, if you enjoyed that podcast, make sure you visit my website at richcooper.ca to learn more about my courses, my book, The Unplugged Alpha, community, or booking me for private coaching. Also, if you are a Canadian with $15,000 or more of credit card debt and what you are doing right now isn't paying off the balances, then visit totaldebtfreedom.ca and hit Get a Free Quote to see if you qualify to settle your credit card debt for less than you owe today over the next 48 months. Make sure you check out the top pinned comment on YouTube for all the links mentioned during the show. Peace.